Hello all, this is Charles from Paladin. How you doing? Hey, welcome to the virtual user meeting for Orgill. Appreciate you guys attending. I know we've got several people signed up for this, got a few more logging in right now, so I'm going to give it a minute or two and before we get started. First off, for you, those of you who did arrive on time or earlier, I want to make sure that you can see my screen, hear me, see me, do all that kind of stuff. So if you can just lift your hand up real quick. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. All right. Yep. So good deal. Well, we'll get started here in a minute. It is a sunny right now outside. We've gone between snow and rain and sleet and ice rain and sun. It's been kind of interesting in the state of Oregon. We're here in the mid-Oregon, so we're on the eastern slopes of the Cascade Mountain Range, which a little drier but a little colder too. And I understand Midwest and the South is having terrible times right now. We've got a lot of people in Texas with power down, and it's just kind of crazy right now. So I appreciate the fact that we can spend some time together today. This meeting will be recorded as well to be able to play it any time in the future. So if you've got customers that need your attention, feel free to jump out. You can always jump back in, and then it will be posted on the website probably in the next 24 to 48 hours. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. We got several people online right now. I expect this to be around 45 minutes. There's a lot of material to cover here. We might finish it a little earlier, but it depends on how many questions I get. Feel free to use the question box that you can find in your dialog box here from GoToWebinar. You can just type in a question, and I'll probably see it and address it at the end of the presentation. Usually makes things go by a little bit quicker. But lots of information to cover today. Again, you know, we're talking about meeting here virtually, right? It's a real shame we can't be together in person. Normally we get a conference room at the Orgill meeting the day prior. You know, we have this meeting. It's usually we allocate anywhere between 2 and 4 hours of time, depending on content that we'll be covering. This will be kind of a quick one from that perspective. But I do welcome all of our Orgill dealers and any Orgill reps that happen to be on the call as well, or any other folks from Orgill. We appreciate it. Orgill's our you know, we have a very good working relationship with Orgill, and a lot of personal relationships with Orgills too. So great people. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So what we're going to be talking about today, what we're going to learn is we're going to learn about the new help request portal. If you haven't heard about it or seen it, it really is an effective way to communicate with Paladin, open cases, and I will show you that. In addition, we're going to go over kind of some recent integrations that we put together. One is with firearms, and the other is accounting package. We've expanded some of the mobile device support and applications. We'll go into those. Look at some new point of sale features that you may or may not have seen. If you know, I get a request from people all the time, hey, can you put this feature? And it's like, well, yeah, it's been in there for a year. It's always an embarrassing moment. And it's nice that you're spending the time to learn about this now, so that if it is a feature that you can use or you've been waiting for, it may be in the system. And then we'll be looking at some coming soon features as well. So to move on with it, the new help request portal, real quick, you know, in Paladin, you can go to support, you can select chat support, submit a help request, view active requests. And the best way to submit a request is to use this. I know a lot of people, it's easy, call in, you'll get somebody, they'll create a case. Well, we've got a new process here where the case must come in from the customer site. So in other words, if you call in on the phone, we're going to have to dial into your machine. We're going to do this process with you every time, because when you submit a help request from your machine, it gives us a wealth of information about what version you're on, what database you're using, what Windows operating system you're using, just all kinds of information. In addition to that, you categorize the issue, and if we see a lot of the same categories coming in on a particular topic, we can look for patterns. So this enables us to help support you better. Chat support is new. I don't know if you've used it at this point, but it's great for those quick and easy inquiries, those questions. But definitely, if you're store down, do not use chat. If you are a situation where you know it's going to be a long process, do not use chat. Just use it for the quick and easies, and we'll be able to get through it and get you the answer right away. That is available usually between 5 a.m. and 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, except on holidays, right? So to submit a help request, now if you select the button, the first question it's going to ask you is, hey, is this a store down situation? We want to make sure that you're following the right process. If it is a store down situation, you'll be instructed to call our the hotline, right? If it isn't, you'll be prompted to put a category in. Is this to place an order? Is this a request training? Do you have information or problems that you're having with the software or managed services? So you can determine the category, and then within that category, you can pick a subject, and within that subject, you can put a brief description of what it is. Give us your contact information, phone and email, and boom, it pops into our CRM system at Paladin, and we're on it. Once you put that request in, you will get an email saying that, yes, we are confirming that we've received this. Here's your help request number, in this case, 158817, and you'll be followed up shortly here. And obviously, it's going to depend on the severity of the case. Those that are more severe, where you're having pretty big complications or been having issues for a while, we'll reach out to you quicker, of course. The new help request portal makes Paladin support even better. So I explained to you why it's important to use that. Right, the information coming down, we are able to glean from that information different patterns, different things that are happening, helps us directly get to the right person, right? The right person with the right experience. Because when we receive that request, we have different expertise, and based on the expertise of a person, you'll be directed to the proper and most knowledgeable support team. Some of the new integrations. So Fastbound, if you sell any number of firearms, I don't care if you sell 3 a month or 300 a month, this product is going to help you tremendously. And we've integrated directly to this product in real time. So it comes up, asks you to fill out the 4473 form can be filled out online by the customer. That information is electronically input into Fastbound. Everything having to do with acquisition and disposition of the firearm will be maintained in Paladin and then pushed to Fastbound. So you've got your electronic bound book all the time. They also have a team of people that work with them that make sure that you're compliant and you stay compliant with firearm sales. No more chicken scratch on a notepad or a notebook, where you're trying to keep this information updated in the standard bound book format. You can turn this all to automation. It makes it really, really nice. All the information is captured in Paladin, same information that you're going to provide to the government, and it just makes it super simple. So check that out if you're selling firearms at all. They have a cloud-based product that's pretty affordable. All right, Quickbooks online integration. Here's another cloud-based product that we've integrated to. So we don't only integrate with the end-of-day operations, but we also integrate all of the closed purchase orders in Paladin and get sent over as a payable event in the payable system in Quickbooks. So check that out. If you're using QuickBooks Enterprise and you want to move to something simpler, something more straightforward, also something that you can get access to the data at any time, QuickBooks Online integration is pretty slick. I've used it. Expanded mobile device support in apps. So you probably heard about our Touch Dynamic Quest 3 tablet. It's got a purpose out there, guys. It is good, but you have to know certain things about the tablet. Number one, doesn't have a keyboard, right? You got to use the screen, obviously. Secondly, is you cannot take it outside of your store, at least not far away from the Wi-Fi internet connection or network connection. It has to communicate to the server, to whatever terminal in your store is designated as a database repository. And if you take it outside of that environment, it cannot connect in, right? So the tablet is made to give you the opportunity to be mobile within your store and function and do every function you can as though you were at the checkout station, right? You can sell stuff, you can take credit cards, you can use the integrated barcode scanner, you can use the touchscreen, make it signature, all of that's in this tablet, right? So it's a great device. Again, if you just want to kind of extend your desktop to a notepad where you can be mobile and walk around, this is a great device for that. It doesn't have a PIN reader, so if your card requires a PIN, you'll have to do that on another workstation, but you can store it as a quote, go over and check them out on that station if they have a card that requires a PIN. All right, so what's the next product that we provide? Well, that is the Samsung Galaxy Tab Active 2. What this does, it enables you to do checkout and just checkout, right? So versus the Quest tablet lets you do everything in Paladin, this was designed specifically to sell stuff from anywhere in the world. So you can take this outside your store. You can take it to the parking lot. You can take it to the flea market. You can take it to the next state or the next country. It doesn't matter. As long as you have mobile connectivity, you can bring up your customers in your store on this device, sell them stuff, put it on their account, take credit cards, take cash, check, or even store it as a quote on the main system or recall an existing quote. So if you want to put a quote in the system and then you want to drive out to the customer's site and sell it to them online or in real time, you can take this device with you, go to your customer site, as long as you have mobile connectivity, and bring up that quote, restore it, sell it to them, put it on his account or put on credit card. It's a really slick device. There's a little credit card reader that plugs into the top, and it allows you to process credit cards. It is not EMV enabled. It is just it's just the swipe, but it works just fine. And if you are an EMV enabled store, we can enable you also for non-EMV for this type of equipment. All right, moving on. Mobile to checkout application. So what's it look like? It basically works on most of the newer Androids. We do sell an Android here for guaranteed support. What you don't want to do is go invest in 10 of these things, then we discover that, hey, Paladin doesn't work on that. So I would recommend buying them from us or checking with us on the particular operating system, the version of the operating system, because it does matter. Now, you can sell on this product anywhere or on any Android device. The issue is taking the credit card. It has a very specific update. So if you want to be able to take credit cards in addition to all the other features, then you'll need to make sure that it's the newer Android device and it is compatible with our system. Lets you sell anywhere, anytime, accept multiple tender types, as I discussed, and it also supports pricing plans, right? So trade discounts, promotions, things of that nature. It also lets you both store and recall quotes on the Paladin system. Now this connects through a cloud to the Paladin system in the store, and it's all real time. So it's very, very useful product. Again, it's not going to be I need to do everything on Paladin. It's just intended to sell stuff, right? Loyalty programs are not supported as well, so just FYI. All right, moving on. The Lane 7000, we've kind of, anytime we get a new credit card equipment, there's different things we need to work through. There were some issues with this initially, but we've got them all pretty much gone. So if you wanted to upgrade and you wanted to not be on the top, front end of that bell curve, you kind of want to be on the late adopters, you're going to come in at a good time if you wanted to upgrade to EMV, or if you want to upgrade your older Ingenicos, or the 3-piece, if you're still on non-encrypted swipes, you'll need to, and you'll want to move over to this device. It's got a touchpad, so you can sign on it. Obviously, you can do your pin pad, does EMV chips, does near field communication. So things like, Google Wallet and Apple Pay and all those other things. It will manage that in addition to EMV. And so it's got everything. Moving on, we also introduced a new Verifone P400 payment terminal. A little less expensive, but it doesn't have the signature capture component, right? So this is a very durable piece of equipment. It is works really, really well. But again, there's no signature capture, so you'd have to buy a separate signature capture device if you wanted to capture electronic signatures. Other than that, it does EMV, it does swipe, it does all the other things that the other system does. It just doesn't have that signature capture. New point of sale system features. All right, so we're getting into some of the features now. I'll just kind of run through these. You may or may not have seen these. It's always good to keep up with this stuff, guys. If you're using Paladin or you're a prospect looking to use Paladin, these are things that are options in the system that you can either elect to use or not. This one happens to be for lumber and building material stores. A lot of them want to buy from the mills by 1,000 board foot. You can do that in Paladin. You just check the cost per square foot. It's going to ask you, or per 1,000 board foot, it's going to prompt you with what the size of that is, what are the dimensions of the board, and it'll calculate out and figure from that moment forward. Every time you buy it, it'll put it in 1,000 board foot language, which you see here, but also down the bottom on the this is just showing you the invoice and quote. So this is kind of two things in one slide here. What you've got is you've got the issue that we've had in the system for quite some time is you're able to buy by 1,000 board foot. This enables you to sell by 1,000 board foot. So in this case, on the top screen you see on the left-hand side, the first blue arrow points to the cost per 1,000 board foot. That's for the purchase order. The one down below that where it says MBF with the checkbox, if you check that, then you'll also be not only buying it by 1,000 board foot, but also selling it by 1,000 board foot. But the good news is the price, each price is going to be listed there, and it's going to be right underneath the 1,000 board foot price. You're going to have the each price as well. So this is an option for you. We also support 1,000 square foot and tonnage as well. Square foot calculator. You probably know about the Control K. That is the tally calculator for lumber, right? I got one at 10 feet, 6 inches, and I got two more at 16 foot. It tallies it. It gives you the right extended price. Well, this has been extended from just the linear foot to square footage. So now we do square footage. You put in the feet by, or the width by feet and inches, and length by feet and inches, and it figures everything out. Puts it on there, puts it down in the node exactly what the dimensions are. And it's easily available and accessible either by right-clicking and selecting from the square foot, or you can do Control S, and that'll also bring up the square foot calculator. Moving on to numbered quotes. So this is something that I think a lot of the building material stores are interested in, right? You get a lot of contractors coming in, rather than just giving them a quote that has no numbers on it except for here's your quote, here's the date and time. This will actually put a quote number on those quotes. So you can put this quote number, you can just activate it, and every time you store a quote, it's going to pop in the next available quote number, right? In this case, it's number 6. So it puts it in the invoice, puts it on the receipt, and also enables you to recall it by the quote number. That is something that you can enable under File Setup Invoice Store tab, and you just click on Enable Quote Numbers. In addition, applying freight costs to EDI invoices has never been easier. So we've enabled you to put freight costs onto manually received purchase orders. In this case, we're allowing you to do it with EDI invoices. So as those EDI invoices or electronic data interchange invoices from Orgill come down, After you receive the order, you can actually apply a freight charge to that, and it applies it across the board to your cost of goods sold for those items based on either weight or cost. And as you can see here, you can distribute that freight cost by weight or cost. And one of the tips I would tell you guys is it's best practice to apply this as soon after you run the EDI process as possible, right? It'll just be much more accurate and apply it appropriately to the stock on hand that you have at the time that you do the receiving. Customizing email invoice messages. So you have an opportunity, as you always have with Paladin. Excuse me, you have an opportunity to set a setting in the customer tab where it says automatically send an invoice every time the customer comes to my store. Every time they buy something, just shoot them an invoice. So their phone dings, they go, oh, I just got an email from you. Yep, there's your PDF attachment of the receipt. Well, before we just had the name of the file itself, which was invoice, the word invoice, and then the invoice number. And then now we've enabled you to actually put your own custom message in. So you can say, hey, we appreciate your business. Thanks for coming by. See you next time. Here's our store information, right? So it helps to customize and personalize the emails messages with the attached invoice. Creating new purchase orders from back-ordered items. So wow, isn't this cool? So if you run through your order and you order and then you receive what you get from Orgill, what you're going to get is back orders, right? Because there's nobody does 100% fill rate, especially these days, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to receive this invoice from Orgill electronically, or you can receive it from manual. But after you've received it, you can go and say, hey, all these back order items, I want to go ahead and create a new PO from this data right now. So I've got 20 items in this invoice that I did not receive. So hit revise PO, and it makes another purchase order with just those items that haven't been received. Pretty slick, pretty cool. Now, if you're using suggested ordering, not as important, right? Because when you run your next suggested order, it's going to go automatically go ahead and add those items back in because they hadn't been received. But this is just a slick way to create a new PO with those back-ordered items. And once it does, it creates it. It says, here's the revised PO. If it was 142, we've created another one, and here it is in the system. So now you can just go ahead and process that and submit it to your supplier. So add precision to PO quantity and price. So we've enabled this in the invoice quite some time ago. When you're doing an invoice, you can right-click on any line item and add 4 decimal places to the quantity and 6 decimal places to the price. Now we've extended that to the purchase order. On the buying side, you can change this. So very, very popular with a lot of the seed and feed stores. And when you're doing large quantities of sales and you want to make sure that you can extend that cost out so you get down to the last, 100 thousandths of a penny, you can do that. Schedule reports for weekday only. So if you're doing a preset report, and by the way, if you haven't done preset reports, it's a really nice way to automatically generate reports. Does it actually print them? No, because we don't believe in printing until you request it, but we will create PDF reports and put it into a nice little folder for you so you can recall it any time. This is very common for snapshots in time reports, like the inventory valuation summary reports, for example. The accounting summary report, for example, those are examples of reports that are snapshots in time. Depending on what information you're looking for, the master report, master inventory report. So you can go ahead and preset these in there. You can have them fire off at a particular time. And in the timestamp, you can either do daily, weekday, or weekly, or monthly, right? In this case, now we've enabled you to run this automatically and exclude weekends for whatever reason. If you didn't, maybe you weren't open, you don't care about those, you can now just exclude weekends if you're doing it daily. All right, so an Excel version of the credit card deposit report. If you go into comparative revenue report and you select, this would be daily report. Sorry, you go into the daily report and you select just the credit card deposit report only, not everything else, just the credit card deposit report. There is an option to select export to Excel. Now this is really super handy when you're reconciling. Right? Let's say you reconcile and you found there's a discrepancy. Doesn't happen very often, if ever, but if you did see a discrepancy, you'll want a list on both sides. Well, on the credit card portal, you can get a list of all those transactions, and on Paladin, you can get a list, put them in Excel, and immediately you can see whether or not there is a where it doesn't match up. So that's available. Customer-friendly transaction report to Excel. So everybody has seen this, more than likely. You've seen the fact that we can generate a transaction report to Excel. Well, we continue to add more settings on this. Now the setting that we have is, hey, if you want to produce one of these reports and you want to give that information to a customer, we can hide the really sensitive information like cost and profit and discounts and that sort of thing. And we've done that by enabling you to detail the display by either customer friendly or accounting department. And that is the Excel version of the transaction report. Automatically exclude special orders from rewards. So now special orders in the File Setup Company tab, the special order section where you can put different parameters for your special orders. And one of those at the bottom says, hey, give me a default class. And now you can add that default class to be excluded from rewards. So special orders oftentimes are pretty expensive items. You know, you can get up to hundreds or I'm just going to say thousands or tens of thousands of dollars of a special order. Sometimes I've seen 100,000 or more. You don't want to necessarily give them any further discounts or credits towards rewards. You can turn that off entirely for all special orders. So great feature. EMV stores. So when you're storing credit card numbers, do we actually store credit card numbers? Heck no. We store tokens or surrogate numbers, just a range of different alpha characters and numeric characters that we get issued back to us from our processor, right? But when you're storing credit cards and entering them for the first time, in the past, we enabled you to both either enter them manually or swipe the card to get the information off the swipe to put it in the system, to put the number in the system. It's more accurate, it's quicker, it's faster, it's better. The new Lane 7000 devices, it is something we had to write to that device, and you actually, if you want to swipe a number into a stored credit card for a customer, you'll want to uncheck the manual entry box. It'll default to manual entry, but if you happen to have the card there and you want to quickly put the number in, you just uncheck that, swipe the card, and you're done. New item fee details report. So this is, everybody knows, is core charge, right? That's kind of what we had before. You can see the bottom screen here, the image, it says encapsulated in blue ink there, says required fee, 50 cents, right? So you've got garden chemicals, for example, there might be some sort of a fee with that. You can determine different fees and set up those different fees to be attached to particular or different classes. So now we've kind of extended this to, number one, you can change that core charge to any verbiage you want. In this case, we put required fee, but it could be paint fee, it could be recycle fee, it could be any fee that you want to put in there. And then you can see this on a report. Every time you sell an item that has a required fee or a core charge or a paint fee or a recycle fee, it'll actually come up and show you. You can see in the top window there, it actually adds that required fee to a new line, right? It's $45, but there's a $1.60 fee, required fee. So that's what that shows. We take it a little bit further, and now when you go into the reports, what I need to know, there's a new required fee details. Again, if it says core charge in the inventory, it's going to say core charge here. It's going to change it to whatever you change that to. All right, and you can change that by going into the File System Company tab, I believe, And when you generate, or when you go to this particular line item, you can generate this report, and the report's going to give you Excel reports, and it's going to break it out by class. So it's a great way to get a summary fee of and all the totals for each of the different classes, and it breaks those out on a different workbook. So make sure all items with fees are assigned to a class. Otherwise, it's going to say unassigned items, right? No class defined, as you see in that top section. Just shows you a summary of fees collected by class, and then it also breaks down those individual classes to show you the different products. Moving on, so new admin access. So how many times have you called up Paladin saying, I forgot my admin password? Well, no longer, because we removed it. There was a time where we required an admin password. It was for PCI compliancy. When you're in the world of credit cards, there's all kinds of strange rules that you have to comply to when you have software that processes credit cards. That was one of them. That restriction has been removed. We are now taking that and making it one checkbox. So you'll notice if you do things that require admin access, like employees tab, credit card tab, network tab, there's a few in there that require passwords. It's not going to ask you for the password anymore. It's just going to say you either have access or you don't have access. And to determine the access, all you need to do is go to the employees section or tab, and then down in the bottom where it says admin access is the very first checkbox. Either you give admin access to people or you don't. And normally it's just managers and owners that have access to this. All right, but no longer do you have to remember your access code. All right, itemized taxes on receipts. So if you're in a state like California that requires taxes to be broken out by type, the reason I say pick California is because they have a lumber tax that has to be listed and shown on the receipt in its entirety and broken down to what is my total cost of this tax for lumber. So we've done it now, and there's so many different regulations and stipulations and different tax municipalities and different fees. We've actually extended this up to 6 decimal places in order to give you very specific information, because the totals you want to total out with being the total of all those items. If you were to truncate it to 2, like we did in the past, you could potentially run into a problem where there might be a fraction of a cent difference. And this alleviates all of that. So you're not going to see this 6th place decimal point unless you select break out my taxes, and it's under the tax file setup tax module or menu item. And you can go ahead and say, yes, show individual taxes. Then you'll see this. Otherwise, it'll just be all rolled up into one. You'll never see it. Or you can, yeah. So Orgill stock availability on POs. So we understand there's an issue with supply chains, right? With what's happening right now, it seems like there's been a wave of mills and production sites and manufacturing companies that have just been basically shut down during this pandemic, and that's created an issue when it comes to supplying products to the stores, right? So your fill rates have come down. Well, how do you know whether or not you're going to get an item? Well, if you use the Orgill e-commerce site, you can click on the inventory analyzer and it'll show you if there are any items that are on your list that aren't in stock right now, and then you can make alternate methods of trying to find those items somewhere else. Well, in Paladin, we said, well, heck, there's a couple of things we can do here. Number one, Orgill gives us the availability to check the stock on hand, right? So you'll notice in this screen here on the bottom says stock check, that F7. That's going to be tied to the Orgill warehouse of your what's ever available, wherever you get your products from, whatever distribution center you use. In addition, when you're generating a purchase order, it can do this automatically for you. There's a little prompt at the bottom that says, hey, supplier stock check, you want to check it out? You click on that little box, and now your PO is going to be broken up into 3 different categories. It'll be sorted by, first of all, what you're out of stock of. Oh my gosh. It tells me already I don't have to use the invoice or the inventory analyzer. It's already going to tell me what I don't have in stock. Yes, absolutely it will. In addition to that, the next grouping is going to be what I can partially fill, from the warehouse. And then the third is going to be what I have available. And I'm ready to put in my order. I could take this information, grab those items that aren't in the warehouse, and find an alternative supplier for that product, right? But the good news is it's going to show you on the screen. In addition, if you're either in inventory or in the invoice quote screen or on the PO module, any one of those modules that you're into, there's going to be a stock check button on the bottom, F7. When you check that or hit that, it's going to tell you what's in your distribution center. In this particular case, it's looking at the distribution center in Hurricane, Utah, which is says there's 204 stock on hand. So pretty cool stuff. You don't have to have the website somewhere else open up. I mean, you've always had the ability to go in advanced lookup and select website and go there and look it up. But oftentimes, I don't know, but just by habit, I suppose, there's always another terminal somewhere in the store where people go to and they use that as their check for stock terminal, right? No longer is that necessary. You can do this directly, whether you're ordering, selling, or looking up inventory items. You have that stock check availability right there. It is updated hourly in Paladin. So every hour it's going to refresh, and refresh. So it's going to be fairly accurate. So this is at the inventory level, same deal. Going to give you the same information. And then how you set that, when you first turn this on in Paladin, when you first get the update, it's going to give you an opportunity, I believe. It's going to say, hey, we've got this new stock check thing. Who's your distribution center? What location are you buying from, right? If you don't do that, you can actually go in and set that into the system. So I would definitely enable it and put in the distribution center. All right, what's coming soon? So what's coming soon in the very near future is a pick list report. So if you do a lot of quoting, a lot of bids, a lot of contractor negotiations, there's a lot of features in the system that are going to help you, right? Like the profit analyst is going to tell you how to build this, your quote, how to properly discount items without giving away the store. And in addition to that, you can turn quotes into orders. So what does that mean? What's a difference of a quote versus an order? Well, a quote is just a one-time quote, goes in the system, you can sell it all and you're done with it, you remove it, and it's all good. What if you have a quote that has, 500 items in it, and they're not going to buy those 500 items today? Well, you can convert that to an order. And once you create that as an order, it's going to maintain all of the different original order amounts and what's been sold, and it will manage that process for you. So all you have to do is bring up the stored order, sell what you want to sell out of it, and then you're done. And it automatically saves it, earmarks those items as sold, and it creates a new invoice and lets you fulfill that order. Well, now we have a pick list. So if you've got a balance of products on these buy down quotes, what I call them, which are really orders, is it will show you all of the available leftover products to sell on each of these orders, and it breaks it out for you in an Excel spreadsheet. So it's a great pick list. You're going to see this in the near future coming into Paladin. All right, so additional information, you can go to, just go to Paladin, portal.paladinpos.com, and you can go to the help portal by clicking on our website, top right-hand corner, websites, which are other websites. Help Portal is one of those, and you can see the release guide there. So there's more information about this. Now, I am open for questions. I don't see any. We've got a number of people here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. In the meantime, we have a lot of different resources for you on the Paladin Point of Sale website. You can go and you can replay webinars. We've got over 100 of them out there, and it's good material. You know, you have to sit here and listen to me on a lot of them, but at the same time, they're very informative. And the good news is you can fast forward through some of it if you already know the content, right? If this webinar or any other webinar is something that you see of value, share it with your coworkers. And also we have other ways that we can help you with just basic retailing, right? We're not only software experts, but we're also retail experts as well. And retail science is one of those areas within Paladin that we're able to syndicate tips and tricks of different ways that you can increase your customer count, increase your customer spend, help with inventory control, how to deal with the pandemic and everything else. So it's paladinpointofsale.com/retail science, or again, you can just go to our website, top right-hand corner, click on websites, and you can get to retail science. You can get to the Paladin store. If you need to buy anything, get to the knowledge base as well, or what's called Help Portal. I don't see any questions. It has been about 42 minutes. So again, I was hoping for 45 or under. I think we've met our goal here. So I am going to, unless any questions come through, I'm going to go ahead and terminate. I really appreciate your guys' time, your attendance, your interest in this, and I thank you for learning more about Paladin and learning more about how we can benefit you as an Orgill dealer, Orgill investor. Appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. God bless you. Until next time, we'll see you. And by the way, just a quick plug, on March 9th, we have a webinar. It's going to be on Avalara taxation. Check it out. Take care.